brothers and sisters of the world.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Well, good morning still for some, including myself. Welcome to another episode of the Brothers of the World podcast. Today is just myself, Dave, and Joe. Average Joe, as you guys know him. Um, we're here. It's been a couple of weeks. We're here to bring you guys some inter news and some reactions. Joe, how you been, man? First off, I want to point out that Joe is looking quite fresh with his new haircut. Some people may not even recognize him. How you doing, bro?
Doing good. Yeah, I got that fresh cut. Yeah, I feel I'm looking good. And so are Inter, kinda. We'll get into that. So yeah, how's it been, Dave?
Everything's been good, man. Everything's been good. Can't complain. Life is good. And Inter, like you said, Inter are goodish right now. We will get into it. Since our last episode, there's been a couple of matches. Um, the surprising, not so surprising draw to Genoa, where we dropped points. And also the match yesterday. I don't know how to describe it. We will get into it. Where we did manage to win 2-1 against Verona. Yeah, let's get right into it, bro. Let's get right into it. This match is I love following matches on social media because you see reactions and sometimes it goes into a frenzy. 2-1 Verona. Me personally, let me start. That match, I expected it to be a walk in the park. I'll raise my hand. I expected it to be an easy 3-0 where we get to play probably youngsters and stuff like that. Because Verona, they have a lot going on. They're losing players. They have most of their players are being linked to away moves. So I expected the team to be quite disorganized, uninterested, and for us to be able to walk all over them. Um, it was quite the opposite. But let me throw it to you, bro. First off, what were your expectations going into the match? And I'll let you take the lead. Uh, about how the match went for you personally.
Yeah, the Mr. Jesus is right. This is football heritage. Um, I mean, it was it was a roller coaster beyond words. Um, I tweeted about half hour before the match. Can we have a nice calm victory today? And it
I
ended up
saw
being
that.
one of my tweets that aged the worst of any tweet I've ever had in my life.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, it was. I mean, for about the first 70 minutes, 60, 70 minutes, I thought we were gonna get that calm match. Things were kind of going rather smoothly. Verona had a
Mhm.
couple moments, but nothing too worrisome.
Yeah.
And then they get the goal, and and then they get the
Mhm.
goal, and everything just goes straight to hell. And the circus begins, and I, I, I'm still at a loss for words about that. Just how that match went after about the 75th minute. It was an out of body experience, if you will. What do you think?
Yeah, no, for real. Well said. You said it yourself. An out of body experience. That's a great way to describe it. And for me, on the East Coast, waking up at 6:30 in the morning, for something like that, those emotions, man. Those emotions at the end of that game, that it put me right back to sleep after that match, man. I was drained, But like you said, the beginning of the match, everything was going smoothly and up to my expectations. Lotaro, scoring that goal, off that beautiful action, Turan managing to hold up the ball for Mkhitaryan, and Mkhitaryan just dribbling and doing that no look pass into Lotaro, and he just finishes at the bottom corner immediately. He looked like he hasn't missed a beat after missing 2 matches. Yeah, and it looked like to me, okay, the floodgates are open. Okay, who's gonna get the next goal? Maybe it's gonna be 2, 3, and then it could end up being a party. This is what I expected, but it went quite the opposite because it seemed like we were out of sync. I'm not sure if it's because I don't know. Well, the only person really missing was DeMarco missing from the starting 11, but we were out of sync, man. It was like the players were not on the same page. Passes being misplaced and stuff like that. We were not the well-oiled machine that we've gotten used to watching this season. And me personally, it was like a scary moment to me because we the reputation we have for January, February, that winter meltdown that we usually have, and I hope that it's not a beginning sign of that. But yes, they did manage to get that goal, and then after that, all hell broke loose. Let me go into some of the specifics with you. First off, that goal that they scored, that their equalizing goal, on that action, of course, Arnautovic loses the ball and goes down. He claims a foul. After seeing the replays and whatnot, how do you feel? Do you feel like that was actually a foul, or was it right for the referee to let it go, which ended up costing us a goal?
It's borderline for me. I don't think it's clear cut. If they did call it a foul or VAR took it back, I would have said it's a bit soft. I'm going to be consistent here in that I don't think with the later episode, I don't think Bastoni's was a foul. So I'm going
Oh,
to be consistent here and say I don't think that this was a foul either. I think this is a contact sport, right?
yeah,
And even though, like, yeah, you can make the argument he doesn't necessarily get the ball from Arnautovic.
yeah. That's
Um,
this. This is exactly the argument I was gonna make. But yeah, go ahead.
yeah,
You got ahead of it.
yeah, and I can kind of see that.
Mm,
But at the same time, I don't know, like if I blame Arnautovic more than anyone because Arnautovic is a big dude, and
yeah.
like
Wow.
you should be using your body better in that encounter.
Yeah.
And I blame Arnautovic more than I do the referee. What about you?
Wow. I mean, that's very fair. You made a couple points that I would have made had that been in a situation where I had to defend it. Yeah. You could take the example of the first goal that we scored, right? You could say that Turan was in a similar position, but he still managed to hold up the ball and lay it off to Mkhitaryan, who then was able to dribble it and then make the assist to Lautaro. Arnautovic is a much bigger dude. Of course, watching the replay, you can see it clearly that the defender he misses the ball on the first swipe and he goes through Arnautovic. And as Arnautovic is going down, he plays the ball on the second swipe. So to me, like you said, it could have gone either way, but since the referee decided to let it play, I had to be fine with it. Especially seeing what ended up happening with that second goal. Which we're gonna get to next. So I do agree. Like the referee was consistent to me all throughout the match. Like all those shoulder to shoulders, little contact, ticky tack fouls. He was not giving them. He was always telling the players to get up to their feet. So yeah, I'll give it up to you, Joe. Honestly, initially when I asked you the question, my opinion was that hey, that was a foul. He didn't play the player. He went through Arnautovic's back and he played the ball on the second swipe. But you kind of convinced me with your take that hey, listen, the referee's been consistent. This is a contact sport. Arnautovic should have done better. To use his body and hold off the defender. So yeah, I'm on board with you. So I guess that legitimizes their equalizer, which to me was also a lucky goal. Off Henry's knee. It's not something that you could say he practices or whatnot. But hey, credit where it's due. Um, let's get into the second goal, right? That is mainly causing the most controversy on Twitter right now. But before we get to it, I wanted to ask you a couple of questions. Um, I had well, I can't say that I had issues with Inzaghi's subs, but one in particular. He brought on Alexis, I believe, for Pavard, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and from that substitution, it looks like to me like it kind of broke the team's uh patterns of play, because Alexis was out of place, trying to find pockets of place to space to receive the ball, and we were playing long balls into the box, like we were pretty much trying to shithouse a second goal, as opposed to playing it calmly, passing, finding the gaps. So yeah, did you have any issues with Inzaghi's substitutions, or do you agree with me when I say that it felt kind of desperate to me, and it almost cost us the match, in my opinion?
So I have a real problem with two substitutions.
Mm.
Um, I have a problem with taking Thuram off so early. Less problem with that than I do the Alexis one, like you mentioned, because
Mm-hmm.
you do have to preserve Thuram's fitness.
Yeah.
But I have more of a problem with the Alexis one because I felt it threw off the balance of the team.
Yeah.
It opened up the game so much,
Yeah,
and I
that's the
don't.
word I was looking for, the balance of the team.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, I I'm concerned that Inzaghi mentioned after the press conference that he's not worried about Arnautovic because Arnautovic is in the right place, right? He's just missing the chances.
Yeah.
What's Alexis offering? Like, um, as much as I was tweeting about Arnautovic saying this is a horror show from him,
Yeah.
and it was. It was horrible.
Yeah.
What did Alexis do? He's not even getting in those positions.
No.
Like,
No.
what's he offering off the bench? And that's very concerning. And it threw off the balance of the team. It wasn't a good sub. I don't know what Alexis offers anymore.
Yeah. Well, since we're on the topic of Alexis, I mean, well, let me touch on Arnautovic first. What a horror show, man. I was thinking of the clip of Real Madrid after that Champions League match when Benzema was saying, don't pass it to Vinicius because he's playing against us. I kind of felt like Arnautovic was playing against us, because it seems like one goal he took off the line, that was going in after that deflection. And it seems like that second opportunity he had on the header, he completely whiffed on it, where he had the size advantage over the defender and the ball was coming to him. So at some point I was like, yo, is this guy even trying? And of course, his attitude, he's not a guy that's gonna really show you that he cares or whatever. He's really aloof, or kind of like Ibra. Like, give me a second. But go ahead. You could talk some more. I'm about to choke up a little bit.
Gotcha. No, but I completely agree. Arnautovic was a disaster. Um, just absolutely horrible. Um, he, yeah, Mattia mentions it here. I wouldn't have thought that Arnautovic and Sanchez would have been worse than Correa. I think that's going a bit too far. I don't think that Arnautovic is worse than Correa, but you can make the argument Sanchez is.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
I didn't think that Sanchez would be worse than Correa, especially after the year he had at Marseille last season.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I just don't see what's he offering. Like,
Well, I could tell that it's frustrating. But yeah, to finish off on Arnautovic, yeah,
yeah,
his main thing is like his attitude. He's walking around with his chest out. He doesn't give a damn. Like, he's messing up, and he doesn't seem to care much. But like Inzaghi says, he's getting in the right positions, and he seems to be only unlucky. And you can make the argument that it's not gonna last long. So I'll still give him a semi pass for what Inzaghi said. But Sanchez, like you said, I cannot see what he's offering. I cannot. All I remember him doing yesterday was getting a couple balls and just trying to loft them into the box, which I hate. Because at that point you're playing right into Verona's hand, and the goalkeeper just catches those balls and just lays down on the floor to waste more time. And since we were on the topic of Sanchez, I'm sure you saw his boy Arturo Vidal come out and say that he's so upset that he only gets 15 minutes here and there. A player like him should be playing, should be starting and stuff. Like, it's like, what world are you living in, man? Like, I don't know what he's watching, but again, this is Arturo Vidal. I'm not sure how sober he was when that tweet was sent out. So I'm gonna give him some grace on that, man. Like, what are your thoughts on that, real quick?
Oh well, Artur, like you said, I'm not sure what his blood alcohol level was at the time, but he doesn't deserve to start. Like, I don't know what's he watching? Like, this guy has been a disaster. At least one thing I'll always say about Alexis is we can get pissed at him for this sometimes, but in his first spell with Inter, he would drop back into midfield a lot, and he would create an advantage numerically to help us progress the ball up the pitch, right?
Yep. Hmm.
He loved to drop back and do that. And it most of the time it worked. Of course, we always remember the times when
That
he
he
lost the
lost it
ball
and
and it really,
cost goals. Yep.
yeah. But most of the time it worked. He's
Yeah.
not even doing that.
Anymore.
Like,
Yeah.
he's useless. And it's really
Yeah.
sad to see because this was a great
Yeah.
player. For
Yeah.
Inter, he had a resurgence at Inter, but even before that with Arsenal and Barcelona, he was great. He's a great player, but now he's in
Udinese.
terminal
Yeah.
decline. Yep, and Udinese, he's just in terminal decline now. That's really sad
Yeah,
to see.
that's what it is. And as you mentioned earlier, one of the reasons why I was on board with him coming back was I took a quick look at his numbers at Marseille last year. He had quite a decent season, so I'm like, oh, if we can have that as a backup striker, I'll definitely take it. And it's just not working out for us at the moment, man. I don't even know. I can't even say if it's a matter of fitness or whatever. But like you said, I'm more inclined to agree with you that he's just declining, and we just ended up buying him at the wrong time. Where I guess Marseille they squeezed the last bit of juice out of him, and that's what it had. So yeah, we've been delaying too much, man. As I mentioned, Inzaghi's subs, they were more conductive of a team that were trying to shithouse a second goal as opposed to play their game to get it methodically. So lo and behold, we did manage to do just that, which is shithouse that second goal, where we had a corner come in, and then Bastoni hit the post. I mean, hit the crossbar, and then from that, Barella hit a volley, which the goalkeeper initially saved, but then he fumbled it, and Fratesi was there, right place, right time to finish it. Um, During that corner, or that turn of events, a lot happened. So let's start with that corner. On that corner, I'm sure we've all seen it. That the incident that happened between Bastoni and I believe Duda, where they initially exchanged some words, and then on the way running back, they made some contact initiated by Bastoni. Some say it's a shoulder to shoulder. Some say it's a clear elbow from Bastoni. Well, I'll go even further and to say that the league came out and said that the referees made a mistake by not sanctioning that elbow. So I'll say even further than our opinions, it seems like the the general opinion is that that was an elbow from Bastoni. So I'll ask you. I know you said it earlier that in your opinion that it was not a foul, but yeah, tell me why you felt like it was not a foul, that contact on Bastoni.
20, 30 years ago, that's ignored.
Of course.
And I get it why today some people think it's a foul, but these are the
Mm.
same people who, when I shouldn't even really address them because they're just they're hypocrites in general. But who, when something like this happens with their team, they'll say, "Game's gone soft, game's gone,"
Yeah.
and it's just like, well, this is an incident where 20, 30 years ago no one would care. He didn't elbow him, he shoved him, and you, if you're not being a hypocrite, you would acknowledge that this is fine. That, if you want the game to be physical, if you want this to be a contact sport, that this is fine. This is just part of the game. I think this one account I followed, not Inter account, said that they watch Serie C a lot, and then Serie C, this is just it's like a kiss, like it's nothing.
Mm.
So I don't know. If the league said it's a foul, I get it. But 20, 30 years ago, this is nothing. What
No,
do you
for
think?
sure. I agree. I agree. This is not even up for debate 20, 30 years ago, but we must also acknowledge that we're doing the podcast about 2023, well, 2024 football, and we have to abide by what the game has become and what the game is right now. Um, I say this. Initially, I thought it was a foul because the angle I saw was the angle from the front showing Bastoni clearly make that gesture. Um, But afterwards, I mean, I was even agreeing after the game with uh, rival fans saying that I don't know how this could happen, especially since the VAR actually looked at it. It's not like it's something that slipped through the VAR or whatever. I felt like it was one of those situations where we got away with one, whereas it happens to most teams, especially the big teams. For example, Milan, they got away with that clear handball from Pulisic. They won that game. This season, stuff like that. For example, right? I thought it was something like that, but then that other angle came out from the curva, I believe, where it shows the whole situation where Duda kind of initiated it. Not that it matters, but then seeing it from the back, it was more shoulder to shoulder from Bastoni, and maybe at the end, the elbow kind of came out. So when I saw that, I felt like what, that was clean, and especially it's not like that had anything to do with the play at all. It's not like Bastoni did that and went and played the ball or something like that. So for me, I was completely fine with it after seeing that. So it was more of a change of opinion. But we must also acknowledge the fact that the league came out and demoted the referees, and they said that it was an error, that we may be a little biased here. So the fact that the league wants to come out and say it, that needs to be taken into consideration. But anyway, we're Inter fans, so it ended up benefiting us, and we scored from it. And it would be remiss if we didn't mention the celebrations from Fratesi, man. What a player! That's a guy that's definitely won me over. I was already a fan from his Sassuolo days, but him coming in and accepting his role at Inter and being the best team player you can have. I'm not sure if you saw his declarations. I think last week, a couple of weeks ago, where he's pretty much saying how much he loves the team and he knows his time will come. I was more expecting him to be frustrated by now, like, hey, I don't know why I'm not playing. I think, and that won me over even more. And seeing how he celebrated with the curva after he scored, he loves it here, and and I love him for it. How do you feel about Fratesi, man? Is he a guy that you like, or were you a fan of him? What are your thoughts on him in general?
I love Bertazzi. I get frustrated with people who don't like him. I get he's not everyone's cup of tea sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
This is a guy who, the way I describe him is he's a very tactical midfielder, tactically astute midfielder
Yeah.
who works his socks off and gets goals, right? He's not a technical wizard like someone like a Lazar Samardzic, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's just not who
Mm-hmm.
he is. He's not going to pass the ball a bunch. He's not going to get in the ball and dictate
Mm-hmm.
play a bunch. He works his socks off. He puts it in his defensive duty, and then he goes up the pitch and gets goals. Right? That's who he is. Now, some people may not like that. That may not be what they like in a midfielder. That may not be what they value.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a job that needs to be done in a lot of midfields. And I've always liked Fertesi. I'm happy if he had that moment yesterday. His time will come. I don't think he deserves to be starting right now on form, but still, I've always liked the guy. I liked him when we bought him, and he's going to come good. So I just want people to be more patient. Just he's going to come good.
All right. Well, let me be the devil's advocate here, Joe. You're not gonna get off this easy, man. I'm sorry. I have to give you a little pushback.
Okay.
So, how do you feel about this? Then, we paid over 40 million for this guy, and you're saying that okay, you're fine with him being a bench player for now, and his time will come. Okay, that's my first pushback, right? The price tag for a bench player. That's something that, especially in our financial situation. And my second pushback is the rumors that we're gonna sign Zelensky. Um, are you sure Fatesi's time to start will come? So address those two questions for me, please.
It's an excellent question, especially with the Zelensky rumors.
Mm.
Um, I think there will be more than enough time to start Fertesi, even if Zelensky comes. I think the competition will only make him stronger. I think what Zielinski coming means is that Mkhitaryan will be pushed further down the order. Maybe not immediately, but next season, but eventually he'll be pushed down the pecking order. Um,
But
you
where do you see
know,
Fateh even getting those starts from? Off Barella or on that left side? Where?
you know, I think he'll start instead of Mickey. I think that it's gonna be a competition, and he's got to show himself to be the superior player. He's got to improve in a lot of areas, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Passing's got to improve,
Yep.
um, and I think it will. This is up to him. You know, yeah. He revealed after the game in a press conference, and I forgot who it was. It was either with Inter TV or with Sky or someone like that, DAZN.
Mm,
But he said, I was frustrated at first because I'm used to playing a lot,
mm,
and I didn't realize, he kind of it kind of hit him that I guess that he had to compete for his place and get better.
mm.
That's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you
The
gotta
self-awareness
always.
is good.
Yes. So it may take time, but I think it's gonna happen for him.
Yeah, I appreciate the vote of confidence, and I agree with you. Although, in my opinion, it does look like a uphill battle for him to get those starts, especially with a guy like Zelensky, which to me would fit in like a glove in that Mkhitaryan role. And Barella, I mean, we're not selling Barella unless we sell Barella. I'm not sure he's going to be getting many starts in Barella's role. So it does look like a uphill battle, but I do believe he will prove his worth, and hopefully it turns out to be a great problem for us. Kind of like we have with Bisek, a guy who I feel like deserves minutes, and we want to give him minutes, but we just can't find it for him right now with Pavard and Darmian, you know. Um, so yeah, after that second goal, big celebration. Fratezi's pants are halfway down, where everybody's looking at his bum, and we're always thinking like we're almost thinking like, okay, it's the third minute out of five, game over, right? What are Verona gonna do? Like they're stunned, game is over. But lo and behold, matter of fact, yes. Before even we even get to that, furthermore reason for us to feel like game is over. In the midst of all that madness with the second goal, I guess what's his name? He got sent off. Lazovic, right?
Darko Lazovic, yeah.
Darko Lazovic, which is a player I like actually. He got sent off, I guess, from arguing with the ref, and he said one of those words that you can't say to the ref, and he got sent off. So they're down to 10 men. We just scored, 2 minutes left. I'm thinking the game is over, but somehow they managed to get some phantom handball because we saw the replay. There was no handball, and they got a good ball sent into the or area, and they managed to get a penalty. So first off, before we get into the missed penalty itself, let's talk about the the incident leading up to that penalty, right? So yeah, we first off, as I said, that handball that initiated the free kick in the first place is a ghost handball because I watched the replay. I saw the game again. There was no handball, right? In the midst of everything happening, Darmian kicks one of their players. He makes a meal of it and goes down. Initially, it's not given. We're breaking back. No goalkeeper. Is Barella and Sanchez. And Barella, for whatever reason, he decides to try to pass it over to Sanchez, who was out of gas anyway, and we managed to squander an opportunity to kind of kill the match. Um, I wasn't upset about it because I felt like, okay, you know what, we're just gonna keep the ball in that end of the pitch anyway and just run off the clock. And as we saw, the referee took forever with the VAR in his head, and some people even thought that it might have been a penalty for us that they were looking at. Um, it turned out to be a penalty for them. So tell me, personally, I don't feel like it was a penalty because although Darmian does get a kick in, the guy afterwards he puts his foot down, and then it's like afterwards he remembers that he got kicked, and then he just theatrically just throws himself to the floor. So tell me, Joe, like I kind of have an idea where you're going with this, from you being consistent with that would have been a soft call with the first two calls that we discussed. Do you feel like it was a warranted penalty?
It's okay. So if we're going by the letter of the law, then yes, that instant, like if you want to like specifically take it out of context and just use the rule book blindly, yeah, that's a penalty probably. But then you look at it and it's so soft. The contact is so soft. Like you said, the delay from when the kick happens on his foot to
Yeah.
when he actually pretends to react to it with a flop is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like I yeah, if you want to take the letter of the law, apply the rule as literally as you can without context of the match, without anything else, then sure, give that as a penalty. But it's ridiculous if you're a normal thinking person to give that as a penalty. What do you think? I'm sure you agree.
No, I agree 100%. It was cruel. And at that point, can you imagine being an Inter fan, like the past 5 minutes, the emotions that you were going through? Because 92 minutes, you're thinking, oh my God, we just drew to this bad Verona team. How the hell did we drop points to Verona? Juve are gonna catch up to us. You go from that desperation to the roller coaster that led to that goal, and then you're celebrating, you're thinking you've finally done it, and then you see this last minute penalty given against you, and you go back to that desperation again. So I didn't know what to think, because like I said, I was okay with all the decisions the referee had made up to that, and after seeing the way that the guy did not fall naturally, he initially was fine after the kick, and then he flopped. I didn't think that was going to be given, and I thought that he was just going to score the penalty, and then we were going to end up in a draw. And we got lucky on that one, because there were also some shots showing that Summer was off his line on that penalty. Although there have been some different arguments about that. I'm not sure if you can clarify that for Joe, but some are
Yeah,
saying that. Go ahead.
didn't he have a foot on the line? I thought so. Isn't that kind of what makes it okay, or what are you hearing on that?
No, what I'm hearing that some Juve fans are arguing is that he was completely off the line and that should have been retaken. But I'm also seeing some people posting the rules showing that him being off the line did not affect the miss at all. It was off the post. If it didn't affect it, if it got off the line and parried it, then yeah, it should have been
Okay,
retaken. But the fact that he missed it off the post, then that was fine. So I
fair
need to
enough.
do some
Okay.
research on that and verify, but I was fine with that. So yeah, we managed to get away from that game, a match that should have been an easy win, in my opinion, with the 2-1 win. Um, we would be okay with that if that was just a blip in on the radar out of nowhere. But when this performance follows a 1-1 in Genoa, you can say that we can start seeing some alarm bells go off. So let's touch on Genoa real quick. We're not gonna spend as much time on Genoa as we did on Verona, but would be remiss to not mention it at all, because we did drop points, and Juve, they took care of their business against Roma, and they won back the 2 points that we gained from them a couple weeks back. So Joe, I know you're a guy. You're very, very, very knowledgeable about Genoa and their stadium and the atmosphere that their fans put on. Because I remember a couple weeks back when Juve were going to go play them, you were quite confident that they were going to give Juve a hard time, and they did. You felt the same way for us, and they did as well. So tell me, going into that match, do you remember? Were you confident that we were going to be able to win, or were you worried about it, or were you surprised from what you saw, what that performance was?
Yeah, so let me just say, I appeared on the La Lanterna Pod, a
Mm-hmm,
Genoa podcast in English. Shout out
mm-hmm,
to Fabrizio and Matt, for having me on. Um, and I previewed this match, and I was not confident at all, and that was completely warranted. It turned out. Um, the Marassi is a pain in the ass place to go.
yeah,
It's a hostile environment. Those fans they're great, but it creates such a hostile atmosphere. Um, And you know, it was such a difficult watch from after the Flares entered the pitch to even though we scored the goal, that second
Yeah.
half was just it was so painful. Like there were no patterns of play. There was it was so I guess not stagnant, but so just there was nothing. There was no
Yeah, the pace was pedestrian.
yeah, it was very pedestrian. That's the word. I just didn't like it. It was uh that match frustrates me.
No,
Um,
I agree. I agree. I felt
yeah,
the same way.
going down.
I felt the same way because um, it was a combination of I felt like our guys were kind of tired. There was some tired legs there, but also the general fans that gave their team a boost. It feels like every second ball they were getting, every aerial ball they were jumping higher than our guys. They were on some super juice or something like that, and sometimes when you're watching a match and you could tell how it's going, that second half, man, would never look like we were gonna get that second goal that we needed. And at some points, we were even holding on for dear life because they were getting free kicks, and we know how good they were that night. Especially Dragusin. It seems like that guy was winning every free kick. He was timing it right, and it was coming to him. He was like a ball magnet. So yeah, some would even say that we were lucky to get out of there with a point, and I would not argue with them too much about that because they had plenty of free kicks and plenty of chances to get a second header and to win that match. You agree?
No, and our goal shouldn't have probably even stood because BSEC pushed off. And I
Mm-hmm.
will agree, we did get fortunate on that. That was a foul. It should have been disallowed.
No, I agree.
No excuses. Like, it's sometimes you just gotta admit that you got fortunate.
No,
So
for
on that,
sure.
I will admit that we got fortunate and we were lucky in many ways to get out with a point.
No, I agree, 100%. There's no fighting back on that. We were lucky to get out with a point. Okay, so let's put those two performances together then. Um, Do you feel like it is a cause to start worrying about Inter a bit? Are we losing the form? Is it the winter meltdown coming up? How do you feel? Or was it just like two unlucky matches that we encountered?
I'd be lying if I said I wasn't concerned. Um, Especially given how Juventus are playing at the moment.
Mhm.
They're in excellent form, and it just feels like we've kind of let our guard down. Um, you know, I tweeted this last week after Juventus beat Roma. Obviously, Juventus playing a half hour against Salernitana. We'll see how that goes. I'm not very confident,
Mm-mm.
but I said, we have the best defense in the league. We've scored the most goals, and all we've got to show for it is a 2-point lead. And it's very frustrating, almost a bit demoralizing, um, that we don't have much more to show for it. But does that mean we're not going to win the league? No. Um, I'm a bit concerned with how we're playing. The next four matches are critical. At Monza, in the league, I should say. At Monza, then we got the Supercopa break.
Uh-huh.
Then we go to Fiorentina. Then we play Juventus at home, and then we go to
And then
Roma.
Roma, yeah.
Huge matches, massive matches. Going to Monza is very difficult. We drew there last year.
Yeah.
Um, so this is going to be absolutely. This is a massive stretch. Dare I say, even a stretch that will determine how the rest of the season goes.
I
So
agree.
yeah, this is huge. So these next four
Well,
matches will tell all.
let's segue right into it then, and then we can touch on the news that we got over this week as well, because we actually got some transfer news. Before we get to that, let's just segue right into Monza, which is the next match that we have coming up next weekend. Monza, who won their last match, I believe, against Frosinone 3-2, with our boy Valentin Carboni scoring a goal and providing an assist as well. Monza, they're an interesting side, man. How do you feel? Are you confident? Well, are you confident about going over there and being able to get a win? Because at this point, it's not a matter of like, okay, a draw would be okay or anything like that. We gotta get the 3 points. Are you confident we can go and get those 3 points?
No, I'm not. As Matthias says in the comments, how many goals were Carboni score? They have a lot of former Inter players, a lot of
Yeah,
Interisti in that squad, and you know, relations between the clubs are good off the pitch, but that doesn't mean they won't
I,
punish us on the pitch.
well,
So
I wonder because Juve had this thing where when they loaned their players to the team, they had that in their contracts that those players were not allowed to play against them. I wonder if we could do something like that, man. Because yeah, no, I would not want this kid playing against us because he's in form right now, and I'm sure he wants to play and he wants to prove himself.
absolutely. And Matthias says if Gagliardini scores, I will die. Same here.
You know
I
he will.
will. Oh, he will. He'll score a screamer. Watch.
Or
Uh,
Ambrosio will get a back post on this.
oh God, that would be so painful. But yeah, um, I I wish we could have Carboni not play against us, but he will start, guaranteed. Like they're integrating him into the lineup already. He's in good form.
Yeah,
Um, I'm very concerned about this match. It's in Monza, isn't that far from Milano, so we will have good away fan support.
yeah,
Um, so they're a good team. They have a good Italian core to that team. They were sure to build that when they got into Serie A, and they built on top of it. Um, I expect a very hard fought match. If we go out with 3 points, 3 points is a necessity.
yeah.
I it's going to be very tough. It's going to be a very close run thing. I would see a 2-1, and I'd be very happy with that.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Especially having Lautaro come back and not only just coming back, scoring and playing 90 minutes. So there was no signs of the injury, which is good. And also DeMarco coming in, it's a good sign. So we should have a strong 11. Although I am a bit worried about Dumfries. He never looked himself. Yesterday he picked up a knock, which he ended up playing through, but he never looked himself. He had a couple opportunities to stretch his leg that usually he would really blow past the defender with his pace. You could tell he's not quite himself. So I'm hoping that he didn't suffer a setback yesterday and that he can just continue to build his fitness, and that's what's going on. But other than that, we should have our starting 11 or strongest 11 available against Monza. So yeah, I believe we can go back there and be serious and get the 3 points. Especially, I don't expect Salernitana to give Juve much of a pushback today. They beat them 6-1 in the Copa in the midweek, so that's already a psychological advantage that they have over them. So I expect them to walk Salernitana quite easily. I'm not even sure I'm gonna watch the match. I think I'm just gonna go watch Arsenal versus Liverpool in the FA Cup instead. So yeah, I guess we're on the same page. We both agree. We acknowledge that it's going to be tough against Monza, but we expect the team to be able to get the job done. All right, we're on the same page on that.
Absolutely, absolutely. You got to get 3 points here. If you want to
It's a
win the
must
title,
have.
you got to get 3 points here. Yeah.
100%, 100%. All right, let's get into the transfer news, man. Tajon Buchanan. That one is one of those transfers. It's kind of like unusual for Inter because we used to spending the whole window negotiating for a player over pennies, and hopefully we get it done before the transfer window closes. But that one happened quite fast, and this is a player that we've been following for a couple years, it seems, and it happened quite fast, man. So tell me, first off, your thoughts on Tajon Buchanan. Is it a player that you're familiar with? How do you feel that he's going to fit for the team? Do you think he's going to take some time to fit in? The floor is yours.
All right. So yeah, he's the first Canadian now. He's Canadian. He's the first Canadian to play in Serie A. Period.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
um, he he's going to be a project. I went back and watched some of his Club Brugge matches. from the start of this season.
Mm-hmm.
And he started out as a winger at Bruges and for the Canadian national team. They've gradually moved him over to wing back and right back at Bruges. Actually, played right back in the back four. And he's not the most tactically aware player. Um, this is something that's going to really need to be worked on, especially in Italy.
Uh-huh.
You can't be good in Italy without being tactically astute.
Mm-hmm.
Just it's a requirement.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why I think they bought him now. He's going to be a project. Get him started now. You don't. I would tell Inter fans, don't expect much in these 6 months. He's going to get a couple starts here and there probably, but I don't expect you know great things right now. Um, Overall, he's very good technically. He's much better than Dumfries tactically.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, sorry,
Mm-hmm.
and he's very fast. So he's got the raw skills to be a good wingback. But the question is, can he adjust tactically? And that's what's going to be up there. Yep. So that's Inzaghi's challenge, and we'll see how it goes. It was a necessity to buy him because of Quadrado's fitness. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll see. And also Dumfries' contract situation.
For sure, for sure. No, I agree. Very well said. You mentioned all the points that I was gonna do as well. When you take a quick look at it, he has the raw physical abilities to thrive in Serie A. It seems like if you have the pace and if you have the dribbling ability, you will be able to make a name for yourself in Serie A. But in a team like Inter, with what we're fighting for and how we play, he needs to learn the tactical side of the game, know when he needs to be defending, when he needs to be back there defending, or when he needs to be making his runs forward, and the passes, the movements, the patterns, and all of that. We saw it took Dumfries a good 6 months before he became a functional right wing back. So I expect the same thing. I agree with you. You said it well. We had to rush and get him now in January. Maybe this wasn't the plan, but because of Quadrado having to do the surgery, we had to get Buchanan. But I think he's more going to be a project. Let him settle in, learn the language, learn Italian football, what the requirements are, and hopefully by the time we're starting next season, he's going to be ready to get in. But I do expect him to be able to still contribute because with his pace and dribbling, you can throw him in the 75th or 80th minute to dribble at a tired defense or something like that if you need some actions created from an individual perspective. So I think that's going to be more of his role in those 6 months. So I don't expect him to get many starts, if any, as of yet. But yeah, with his attributes, if he can put it all together, he can be a very, very exciting player for us. But that is a big if, and that is up to him. Have you seen? Do you watch the MLS? Because some people were telling me that ever since they saw him from, I believe he was playing in New York, right? One of the
He played for New England
New
Revolution.
England, New England Revolution.
Yes.
Yeah,
I don't
some
watch
people
much
were
MLS,
saying
but I
that.
remember him. Yeah.
They were saying that from watching him in the MLS, you could tell that's a player that needs to be in Europe and that he's way above that level. But yeah, since you don't watch it, I'm gonna go with that opinion as well because I've seen a lot of MLS people are very excited about him, and of course our Canadian Interisti. Shout out to Thomas, Antonio, a couple of our Canadian Interisti. They're excited to have him, and hopefully he makes them proud, man. I'm on board. As soon as a player makes that move and joins us, I only wish the positives and the good things for you. So hopefully he does turn out to be that player for us.
Yeah, Antonio actually played with him in high school or
Youth
youth
team,
ball or something
yeah,
like that. Yeah, in
yeah,
Canada.
yeah.
Yeah, and so I mean, yeah, this is really cool for them. So
No, it's
we
it's
hope
exciting.
Tim Hortons FC works out for us. So but yeah,
For sure, for sure. All right. Well, I think that's about all we have, man. We breezed through those topics. Great job as always, Joe. Do we have any comments that we want to skim through real quick? We always want to acknowledge our guys and touch
sure,
on any topics that they bring up. So let's skim through them real quick and then we can wrap it up.
sure. Ian said, "Nice to see you too. Regards from the study bus. We wish you luck studying, Ian, for your
Okay, yeah,
finals."
okay. I forgot. He has finals, so he gets a pass. But he's not
Yes,
playing.
yes.
He's not playing hooky. Hi, Ian. Good luck on your finals.
Matthias says Canadians hype him up. I hope he's not another Lazaro.
Hey,
Yeah,
Mattia. I don't know if you're up to date with the Serie A, but Lazaro is quite a functional right back right now for Torino, and they just
he does
ran all
okay.
over
Yeah,
Napoli. So
yeah,
listen, I'd be okay with Lazaro being Dumfries' backup. So if you can learn that level, then I'd be okay with it.
absolutely. Let's see. I think that's about that. We kind of went through them all during the show, and then thank you, Mattia. We've had a fun time.
Hey,
So
Mattia, you always here with us every time, man. So
yeah,
thank you,
Mattia, you're a
thanks a
star.
lot.
Thank you so much.
And listen, we would love to have you on. We know we've spoken about this, having some of our fans that always join us on the pod. So send us a DM if you're really interested about it. We could talk about it and make it happen. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely, Mattia. We'd love you. We'd love to have you on. Thank you so much for supporting us.
All right, Joe. Hey, great show, man. Great to have you, man. Again with the fresh cut. Go ahead and kill him out there. We can wrap it up with the outro.
Okay, guys, we'll see you later. Forza Inter.
Brothers and sisters of the world.
Good stuff, bro. Good stuff. We're still live.